ReZero, Side Story, Anastasia's Most Important Travelogue, Chapter 1.
It was a quite pleasant and sunny day. It's so sad having to go back and forth from the office on a day like this. I'll take a stroll, come with me. And, just like that, the protest could be heard, along with the sound of a sheaf of papers hitting the desk. Julius, who was focused on reading in a corner of the room, couldn't hold his giggles. Oi, Julius. Did you hear what I said? Julius: yes, of course. I'm sorry, I was lost in your beauty. Look at you, talking like that without a speck of guilt. I'm not like these girls from Lagunica that fall for your pick-up lines. Anastasia, the girl who proposed the stroll, was already grumpy and started pouting with the knight's remark. She had her typical Kararagai accent, but don't let the cute appearance and innocent mannerism deceive you. The girl called Anastasia Hoshin was, from Julius Ducalius' perspective, one of the most influential figures in the kingdom today. Julius: well, in any case, I'll gladly accept the invitation. Will Mimi and Hetaro come as well? Anastasia: nah, no bodyguards today. I wanna walk alone with you, Julius. Hey, I heard that. This is treason. Adultery. Mimi, listening to the conversation, didn't like to be left behind. Anastasia: it's adultery, Mimi. I'll get dressed, can you wait for a bit? Julius: of course, milady. Take as long as you need. With that, Anastasia waved her hand and left the room. Ladies usually take a considerable amount of time to get dressed and, even though the president of the Hoshin Trading Company values efficiency above all, she didn't neglect the power of good looks. Which means, this is going to take a while. Julius: Mimi, let's wait for Lady Anastasia in the living room, shall we? Can you go ahead and ask them to make us some tea? Mimi: yes, sir. Leave it to Mimi. Watching the little girl leaving the room all excited, Julius started to get himself ready to accompany Anastasia. If ladies get all dressed up to go out, it's the duty of men to prepare themselves to live up to them, to be worthy of their company.
Chapter 2.
When Julius got to the living room after getting changed, Mimi was seated in front of the table where sweets and teas were served, anxiously swinging her legs. When she realized that the knight had arrived, the little girl's face broke into a wide smile, but soon frowned, holding her nose. Mimi: Julius? Why do you smell like that? Julius: I sprayed some perfume. Does it bother you? Mimi: no. I just got a little startled. I'm not very good at differentiate people by their faces. Julius then sat down in front of Mimi, who was enjoying the sweets on the table and, intrigued by her comment, asked, Julius, does it mean that you guys identify us by our scent? Mimi: if you are alone and you are someone I know, I can tell by looking. But when there are a lot of people it gets really hard. Then it has to be by the smell. Julius: I see. I'm surprised that you, cat demi humans, rely so much on smell. I imagined that this would be the case for Captain Ricardo since he is a kobold, although, when it comes to that man, it wouldn't be surprising if he is only half kobold, since they are known to have short stature and Ricardo is over 2 meters tall. Remembering the big man who is always speaking loudly with his characteristic Kararagai accent, another question came to Julius. Julius, you and your brothers are also from Kararagai, correct? Why don't you three have the typical accent from there? Mimi: about that. Good question. Mimi nodded and explained. That's thanks to the Great Elder. Mimi: Hetaro and Tivi learned to speak and fight from the Great Elder. Julius: Great Elder? Mimi: he was an old man who showed us the way of life. He died in a cool way. Because of the way the kitten spoke, it didn't sound as serious as it should have, since it wasn't hard to imagine that this person was like a foster father for the triplets. And, apparently, an elder strong enough to train them to the point of being vice-captains of a troop like the Iron Fang. And just when the conversation had come to an end, Anastasia appeared in the room. Anastasia: sorry to make you wait. I'm ready. She had changed into a garment called kimono, a traditional costume from Kararagai. It was a long dress made from white fabric with aniseed floral patterns. Certainly a type of clothing that you hardly saw in Lagunica, but Anastasia looked great in it. Julius, I don't think I'll ever get tired of saying how good you look in your dresses, milady. It is as if they were made specifically for you. Anastasia, geez, he doesn't know when to give up. Well, not that it bothers me, she smiled greedily, a little embarrassed. Mimi, I'm going out with Julius, but don't mess around. I don't want to find anything dirty or broken when I get back, Mimi, hee hee. Easy. This is Mimi's specialty. The scene of a little girl hitting the table didn't inspire a lot of confidence, but, at that point, all that remained was to pray and leave the rest to the servants. Julius offered his arm to Anastasia, who gently accepted with her hand. Julius, milady. Are you sure about wearing the scarf? I believe you will feel hot considering the weather today. As pointed out by the knight, despite the kimono, she was still wearing her fox scarf, which, apparently, seemed to be her favorite. Although it was a beautiful scarf, and clearly one of the highest quality, it really didn't make sense to wear it on hot days. Anastasia, well, you're right, but I don't mind it, Julius, I understand. And where are we going today? Sensing that it was a delicate matter, Julius didn't insist and changed the focus of the conversation. The scarf could be many things, from a simple amulet to a powerful metier. Perhaps, when she feels a greater sense of trust between the two, Anastasia would reveal the truth. Anastasia, an impeccable night indeed, whispered the girl, only to herself.
Chapter 3.
Anastasia, today I have no plan or goal. All I want is to clear my head a bit. This is a mission of utmost importance, you know. With that premise, the stroll between Anastasia and Julius began. Of course, from the beginning, the impeccable knight wasn't worried about the mission, considering that they were in the capital, the largest city in the kingdom. Going to the commercial district was enough for Anastasia to forget her troubles amid all those shops and stalls. Stall owner, what is it, little lady? Do you have a problem with my apart? Anastasia, no, my problem is with you, the seller. Have you never stopped to think that your scary face and hoarse voice scare customers away? The apart are crying, stall owner, grr. You brat. Even now, she was arguing with a fruit vendor with a huge scar on his face. Luckily, the guy seemed to be a sensible man and Julius thought it was not necessary for him to intervene. Julius, well. She doesn't seem too concerned about not attracting attention, the knight laughed at the scene his companion was making. Although she was in a more than special position, being a candidate for the throne, there were not many people who knew this yet, so it was a matter that should be handled with great care. Anastasia, phew. In the end he was a surprisingly reasonable man, said Anastasia when she got back from the fruit stall. Julius, if he has the flexibility to accept criticism, he might have a good chance of prospering. Anastasia, well, that's something I can't say. We cannot forget about talent, or the lack of. What was hinted by the girl was clear, the fruit vendor had zero aptitude for being a salesman. Julius, if we are only talking about appearance, Captain Marcos of the Royal Guard is intimidating as well. Anastasia, true, that fruit vendor would be able to compete with your captain. Humph, look at the subject we ended up in, Julius. The girl smiled at Julius' joke, revealing all her graciousness that was being enhanced with the kimono. She had an appearance that naturally caught the eyes of men and, as much as she loved saying that Mimi was adorable, she was not left behind. Or, perhaps, she was fully aware of it and used her poison in her favor. Anastasia, what? Is there something on my face? At the question, Julius shook his head sideways. Regardless of Anastasia's true nature, the impeccable knight had already made his decision. The only thing was, he still wasn't sure that the mysterious girl from Kararagai would choose him back. Anastasia, and here you go again, making this strained thoughtful face. Thinking too much will only end up attracting bugs, you know. With that comment, Julius reflexively took a hand to his face, only to realize that he had been tricked by Anastasia, who opened an innocent smile right away. Anastasia, I'm not telling you not to think, but there is no point in thinking about something if you can't come up with an answer. Since I took you out for a walk, how about relaxing a little? Julius, relax. Wait, by any chance, Was today's walk because of me? Julius' eyes widened in astonishment. Anastasia, I knew you hadn't noticed. I could see that you haven't advanced a single page of your book. Here, eat this upper. Speechless, he humbly accepted the fruit that was offered. Julius felt as if he had been scolded, that he wasn't the only one who paid attention to others, and even felt a little ashamed at having lost sight of himself. Anastasia, you know, I want to see you being yourself every now and then, without posing as something else. This was the secret goal of today's stroll. Saying that, she rubbed the upper on her clothes and bit, completely ignoring its peel. It was not a very ladylike way of eating, but, being influenced by her, Julius did the same and felt the juice filling his mouth. Julius, milady, Anastasia, Julius, this upper is still green, isn't it? Anastasia's, oh, true. Geez, that guy? Even his appa are bad. Furious, the girl immediately turned and went straight towards the fruit vendor with a scar on his face. The not-so-impeccable knight, watching her back and feeling the slightly sour taste in his mouth, for some reason, couldn't resist the sudden urge to laugh. At least, those were his true laughs, without posing, fulfilling Anastasia's secret goal while she wasn't looking.